This is Bulgaria-ish. It's a small country in southeastern Europe, and that shapeless formation along the river Danube is Ruse, the first place I've ever been. The big day, August 29th, 1988. Ah, the 80s. Okay, that's not realistic. Perfect! My name is Pepi, and this is my life. Since my father was a petty barge, my mother and I were traveling a lot with him till I hit 5. There's not much of a clear memories left, but I do remember I was constantly showered with a Hogwarts type of magic from everywhere. Christmases in Germany and Austria, castles, and almost alien city lights on every shore we were traveling through. But as every decent fairy tale, my own needed a villain, which back then was my father. He was an alcoholic. Most of the time he was missing from home, usually accompanied by mistresses or hookers. Sometimes for days, sometimes for a couple weeks. When he was at home, he was always able to find a reason to beat me with a rich arsenal of tools. And I'm not talking about a few spanks. I'm talking about a full speed, a controllable beating until I was a crying mess you can scrub from the floor. On my first day at school, he was already in prison for vandalism from a few days. Like a year after that, my mother finally divorced him. I have 2 older sisters from my parents' first marriages, and 1 little brother from my father's 3rd marriage. Except between my sisters, we all have an age difference of at least 10 years. I've always lived with my mom and my oldest sister. Despite the fact they were trying to protect me when my father was beating me and claiming he was a bad guy, during the rest they were doing the same as him, and even breaking my stuff and using the same tools. They were never alcoholics or even drinkers, but they're both pretty hot-headed, and my sis is totally uncontrollable in her anger. She was regularly using the vacuum cleaner's tube, and one day she finally broke the rolling pin over my arm. She was also blaming me that my mother didn't beat me as much as her, so she will do it even worse. They both were always threatening me if I'm fighting back, they're gonna send me to live with my father, to throw me away, and even call stronger than me guys that are going to beat me and throw me away. I've never missed from school when I was sick. Even having the flu with 104 degrees temperature and coughing my lungs off. My mother was like, "What do you think? If you're sick you're not gonna go to school? Well, you will go even with 122 degrees. We were very poor and almost never visiting doctors when we had health problems. So my mama was treating everything with strong antibiotics. Even when I broke my wrist, she told me I was just fine and gave me a towel to support my wrist. My sister and my mother had horrible fathers too, and I think they were just projecting every nasty man in their life on me. I didn't have any real friends, and I was equally bullied at school as at home. I was never a suicidal person, but I was pretty close at that point. But aside the abuse and poverty, my childhood was actually pretty magical. After all, I'm a 90s kid, and my life was the amazing world of Disney, Sailor Moon, Friends, Twin Peaks, Whitney Houston in her bodyguard period. I was in love with her, and I've asked my dad for a bag of dollars so I can go buy her and marry her. Well, what can I say? I was 4, that's how marriage worked for me back then. And of course, in a big portion of my childhood, every plane at the night sky was a UFO thanks to the X-Files. I had no one but me and my imagination, so movies and TV became my world. Surprisingly, high school was the first ray of light. I went to National School of Arts, but please don't expect me to do something special here. For the first time, I've met people of my age sharing similar interests, made new friends, and I thought I finally found my place. My father came back to my life. He was perfectly sober and took full response for me. We started to build a father and son relationship, and I couldn't believe how different he was. My mother became even crazier because of that, but I didn't care much about that anymore. After I realized I wasn't the great artist I wanted to be, which was just another disappointment for my mom, I decided to risk and try another form of art I've always loved: writing. I earned a bachelor degree in playwriting and screenwriting, and started my first job at the highest rated primetime sketch show. My sister lost her job, so I was helping her and my mother for a few months. And I was actually thinking our relationship may fix. Wrong again! 2 years ago, after Christmas holidays, out of nowhere, my sister went mental again, and I left home with a ripped t-shirt, scratches on my stomach, and no key for home. These days, they're acting like nothing happened. And when I bring the subject, they're telling me that they can't believe how much anger and grudge I'm holding on them, that they thought I'm a grown-up now, but they were obviously wrong, that probably deep inside me there's still good in me, that I need to stop living in the past. Of course I'm not a saint. Of course they have good sides. And we've had plenty of love and laughs between us. Long ago. So I really can't explain how it all became so ugly. My job didn't work out either. The show's humor was very different than mine, and no matter how hard I was trying, after a year and a half I was fired. In the next 2 years I tried another 2 short-living writing jobs. One for an egomaniac with Lagoria who never pays, and one for a Satan Cruella de Vil hybrid. I was broke and technically homeless. I lived at different friends' places, and I had to store my stuff at few locations. 3 years ago, despite the fact my father wasn't drinking for 10 years, cirrhosis took him away, 3 days before Easter. It was painful to watch him fading away, but at least we ended up clear. On October 18th, 2012, I finally realized and admitted to myself that I'm bisexual, and all my friends accepted me, unlike guess who. I decided not to tell my dad because I knew he was dying and he wouldn't like it either. 2015 bring me another revelation about myself. I'm actually situational gender fluid, or maybe even transgender. I'm still figuring it out, but all my life, even from my birth, people are mistaking my gender even without meeting me in person. I've had female alter ego, preferred female clothes and games, and of course my favorite toy was Barbie. I have no idea how did I manage to convince my parents to buy it for me, but it's worth it. There was so many signs, but because kids were beating me and calling me gay, girl, etc. all the time, I built a whole Great Wall of China between me and the real me. I knew I was different, but I was too afraid to admit it even to myself, and hopefully someday I'll be the woman or the happier man I deserve to be. I decided to start this channel because I realized I'm already 28 years old with almost no one but me and my imagination again. Life is too short, and we can't decide how long it would last. I know there's so many kids and adults like me, and I know it sounds like a naive cliche to say this, but you are not alone. What makes you different from a large group of people doesn't make you a freak or a sinner. Well, of course, if you're not criminal. Those people just doesn't get you, because they will never step into your shoes. And why would you let those nasty people to use your shoes in the first place? Ew! Some people can change, some people can't. You don't have to lose your time trying to fix them, because they're trying to do the same with you, and you're perfectly right. The only person you can fix for sure is you. Only you know how to do it, and you deserve to try, because you are important, and deep inside you know that. It is painful, but that's part of the healing process. So please don't be afraid to try. Because if you think that's scary, just look at the cracks on your soul caused by bullies. If you aren't stronger than me, they're going larger and larger until you fall apart, and I was already there. but I'm here now. And yeah, I'm supposed to be a screenwriter, and right now I'm working on a hypermarket. But I've lost 33 pounds, have few close friends and 2 best friends, and I'm spending my free time writing a screenplay that may or may not change something in my life. Who knows? Hello, this is me, and this is my channel trailer, and I'm gonna tell you I'm having a blast making this video because of one of my 2 best friends, Netta, without whose help this video will never irritate your life. So thank you, Netta, you're the love of my career. But anyway, this channel is based on story times, parodies, and probably everything I'm finding interesting and challenging for me. So, I'm making new content every Thursday and Sunday, but I'm gonna skip the next Thursday because I need time for my next video, which is a very special project for me, because it's a parody of one of my all-time favorite shows, Stranger Things. It's cheesy and dirty, but so am I. So, like and like, comment or comment or subscribe. It's all of your business. See you next Sunday.